I found this video on the Shade Room's YouTube channel, and it talks about this dating app being a little biased towards black women. So what we're going to do is we're going to watch the video, and then after that, I'll give my perspective. Let's get to the video. This is from the Shade Room's YouTube channel. Let's get to it. Fair use, fair use.
Not all milkshakes.
And I was like, what?
Are bringing quality boys to the yard. Outrage on TikTok.
Hinge is not for black women.
Very loudly not choosing us.
Black women calling out the dating app Hinge for putting their profiles at the bottom of the dating pool. It led some of them to change their settings as white women in the app.
Like, it was literally night and day.
And suddenly the caliber of men changed.
That's disappointing.
So the Shade Room had some single men put the theory to the test. What type of women does the app feed them most?
Well, when you first brought it to me, I was shocked.
Are black women harder to get versus white women?
Let's talk about it.
I'm Justin Carter. This is TSR Investigates.
So before we really get into the video, the one thing I want to say about dating apps, I haven't really been on them in a while, but dating apps are like social media apps. The algorithm determines what you see on these apps. Now, I think the thing that people need to realize as well, and I'm going to talk about this later, is that it determines on the settings. You put settings, this is what you want, this is what you get. But is there an issue? Let's continue.
It's been a conversation for years now. The gap between white women and black women when it comes to finding good men on dating apps. Despite a Pew Research study that found that black and Hispanic women use these apps the most, many are saying that they're getting the least likes, and the crop of men to choose from are often slim picking. So, a group of black women on TikTok, they decided to change their settings from black to white on Hinge to see if the crop of men changed. And it did significantly. Suddenly, what they had to choose from, doctors, executives, lawyers, all in their timeline. So we wanted to know, is this an algorithm problem or is this a preference problem with men on these dating apps?
In general, dating is trash.
But it really shouldn't be for Brittany Kiles. The 27-year-old television personality from Chicago, she admits that she doesn't have a problem attracting men. It's attracting the right men for her.
Someone who has commitment issues, or they're manipulative, or they ghost you.
It's the kind of men she's been matching with on Hinge lately. She's been on and off the dating app for a few years now and was shocked when she saw what black women were saying about Hinge on social media.
It's a black man in my comments who said when he has his profile open and he wants to date black women, he's open to everybody. But he says he has to unlike so many, he has to X out so many non-black women just to get to black women. It's systemic.
I mean, that's interesting, because if a guy is telling people that I have to go through so many other races of women before I get to a black woman, that is more of an app thing. I think that's more of an app thing. I don't think that's more of a preference thing, but hey, let's continue.
Am I the only one who saw the video of the young black woman who changed her race on Hinge to get different matches?
Change your race to white or Asian, but hide it so when a man sees it.
She said it was experimental and it was just to test out the algorithm.
Like, I'm not gonna do that. If I do, these are men that are seeking and have a preference for white women.
True.
And then, you go into thinking other things like, well, they may only put no preference.
She kept her photos the same, but the algorithm now thinks that she's a white woman on paper.
I changed it to Caucasian and I hit it. And when I tell you, it's night and day what I was getting.
She went from matching with the dusties, as she calls it, guys with maybe questionable jobs and baby mama drama, to these men. For instance, an IT professional, a managing partner, and a sales rep at a logistics firm.
There was a huge class difference, and these were black men. And I messaged the men who I matched with, and I said, what's your preference? What did you put as your preference? Because I don't want to be with no man who only prefers white women. One guy said he put no preference at all, and that wasn't a deal breaker for him. So he's open to all women of all ethnicities. Another guy, however, he said he put Black and Latino. That little chat bubble kept coming up and popping down, when I asked him that question, like, you didn't put Caucasian at all? Finally, he was like, no.
Now, if these guys are being truthful, why is she all of a sudden seeing these successful Black men only when she changed her ethnicity to white? Katavia Ames has the same question. She's a content creator in Northern California.
I have beautiful white girlfriends, and they've shared with me the matches that they get. And Justin, let me tell you, I'm like, wait a minute. You have 6'5" finance boy with the blue eyes, and he's coming at you and he's taking you out on dates. And what do I have? I changed my ethnicity to white, but I kept my pictures as is, obviously as a Black woman.
I mean, this is the thing. Like, if you change your ethnicity to white, and it's like, that's more of an app thing, because I'm thinking about it and I'm like, okay, these people are changing their ethnicity to another color, another race, and then boom, it's hitting. I don't know if it's the app having an issue with it, or they're just suppressing Black women so bad that they have to change their app preference. And my question is it just with this particular app, or is other apps doing this too? That's the question. Let's continue.
Influx of really great matches. And these men, and when I'm saying like good matches, like they had great jobs. They were actually communicating with me, putting in some effort, and they were good looking as well. But that's just kind of the reality that we live in, that again, the whiteness is always going to be pushed. It definitely makes me feel like maybe the apps at the end of the day are not for us.
So the Shade Room got some single guys with careers on board to play around with their app settings. Josh Siganek in Atlanta, for example, he's 30 years old in media production and has always put open to all women in his settings.
When you started changing it to maybe all Black women, were you getting all Black women? Was it following your preferences at that time?
Yeah, I would say for the most part, yes.
Overall, he says that the Hinge algorithm follows his wishes when he started changing his settings around. He did mention, though, when he made the cold switch to Black women as a preference, it did sneak in a few white women.
I definitely saw it change, but they would still sneak in, every so often, they would still sneak in someone of a different ethnicity.
And that could be because you have liked that specific ethnicity in the past, right?
Right.
28-year-old Chad Franklin, a businessman and influencer from Los Angeles.
My Hinge profile went mega viral.
He's single and often goes viral for his dating app hacks while helping other men maximize their own experience. He says that Hinge by far is the best for him, as he too is open to all women in his settings.
And are you getting just a full plethora of women?
Absolutely, man. My age range is set from like 23 upwards to 31. So, and I see all types, girls with kids, girls with no kids, girls with tattoos, no tattoos, piercings.
He says for him, there's nothing wrong with the Hinge algorithm. He says it's up to us as Black people to know where we thrive.
Even me, you know, white men do better than me on dating apps, but I'm not going to sit here and get mad at it either. Hinge doesn't owe you, especially if you're not paying them a monthly subscription. They don't owe you nothing. They're not your matchmaker, right? So my advice to people who aren't having the most success with Hinge, do what your grandma did, do what your mama did, and get the boots on the ground. You want to meet a lawyer or a doctor? Okay, during freaking lunchtime, go hang out by all the lunch places by, you know, doctors and lawyer offices.
He says we also have to look at ourselves. He says that the apps are taking data from your previous likes, which can affect your choices moving forward.
I mean, that's 100% correct, because you got to realize these dating apps, any app that you watch, any app that you're on, I don't care if it's Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, anything, it takes the information that you give them and it feeds back that information. So it's no difference between, let's say you're on Instagram and you like certain pictures or you comment on certain videos, it's going to feed you those pictures. Now, the dating apps are going to do the same exact thing. I think he's 100% correct. A lot of times, females will say, you know what, I'm not getting these matches. But like you said, get your boots on the ground, go ahead. And if you want these successful men, you got to go hang out where these successful men hang out. I think there's twofold. I think with black women, I think the app does favor women of other races more, because I think guys, you probably have more white guys on the app than black guys, or you may have more Hispanic guys on the app than black guys. So what happens is, if those guys tend to set their preference to either no preference or white women, you're going to see a lot more, as a man, you're going to see a lot more white women than black women, because there are a lot more white women using the app than black women. Now, it's sad that women are going through this, because at the end of the day, everybody wants to find love. But like the gentleman said earlier, put your boots on the ground. If you want a particular man, just like if a man wants a particular woman, you have to put the work in. That's the main thing I tell people. Put the work in so you can maximize what you need. Let's continue.
Are black women harder to get versus white women?
Let's talk about it. I have dated black women, but the kickback I get from some of them, I'm going to say that twice. Some of them, one more time, some of them, is that I'm not there. I don't have that from the street charisma that they're looking for.
So these girls in LA, they're looking for the hood.
Some I have been, told that a couple times by girls. So it has turned me off sometimes, but I do like dating black women because I feel like that's a relationship that'll make the most sense for me. I'm just going for, who likes me. And if I were to open up my Hinge right now, I'd probably see about 2 black girls, and the rest are, women of all nationalities. So I'm just going for who likes me and who's giving me a time of day.
Yeah. And I think the one thing that women need to understand about these apps is that it's a gamble. It's like when you're playing the lottery or you're playing these games and things, it's a crapshoot. And when it's a crapshoot, yeah, you're going to get the dusties. But yes, if you do change your settings or whatever, you may luck up and find the doctors and the lawyers and all that. But my thing is, like the lady said earlier, why do I have to change my ethnicity to get these men? That's $1 million question. And it seems like, they're accusing the app of just being a little bit, I'm not going to call it racist, but being a little bit biased towards black women. I think at the end, it's just a preference of the men on the app. The preference of the men on the app determines that, just like the preference of the women on the app determines what men see on the app. If a woman puts, this is what I want in a man, they're going to give you a certain amount of men. But then after they run out of those men, what's going to happen is you're going to get the dusties. And if you swipe left all the time, and then the algorithm is like, okay, you swipe left 1,000 times and only swipe right twice. It's like, okay, I'm giving you these individuals, but you're not matching with them. The reason why apps tend to not work, dating apps tend to not work, is because people tend to swipe left so many times, get frustrated with the app, and then just unload, disassemble the app. But also, like he said, you have to pay. And I think when you pay for the app or pay for a monthly subscription to the app, you get more selections. But do I think there is a bias towards black women? I think it is. I think 100% it is. But you have to not look at the app. Look at the people who are on the app. That's where your bias is. I'm just being honest. The bias is not with the app itself, because the app is just going off what people are giving it. But it's your boy Jay here with another video. If you like the video, hit that like button. Also hit the subscribe button. On my road to 5,000 subscribers. Let me know in the comments what you think. Does Hinge have a bias towards black women? Let me know in the comments below. Until next time, I'm out.